Hello, good morning everybody. I'm an aquatic biologist at the Ministère de l'Environnement, de la lutte contre les changements climatiques, de la faune et des parcs. My sector is the faune for wildlife. I'm the coordinator of eDNA project, so I'm the only one, and I've been involved in every project of eDNA in Quebec province. We only have one lab, and I only have one technician in my lab, so it's not a lot. So we're doing our best. So the mission of my sector is the management of wildlife and conservation of their habitat. So I will present, and we use eDNA as an acquisition tool for our project. So I will do a summary of our project and the project we do with the collaborator in university. So the first project I want to talk about is the Aquatic Invasive Species Program. So we use eDNA for early detection and surveillance of those species. The first one we put on the field was for invasive carp after the capture of a grass carp in the St. Lawrence River in 2016. So we started a survey in 2017 all over the Quebec, the St. Lawrence River and the major tributary. Since 2017, we still have some positive detection for grass carp in Quebec water. After the first capture of the female grass carp in 2016, a young fisherman kept fish with a fishing rod, a grass carp in Richelieu River. And last summer, an American killed a grass carp 2 kilometers short of the border of Quebec in the Richelieu River in Lake Champlain in bow fishing. After 2017, we add some species to our annual survey. We are looking for tench, spiny and fishhook water flea, and zebra and quagga mussel. And this summer, it will be our first sampling for tube-nosed goby. It's a new invasive species we have in Quebec water, and we captured the first specimen last summer in Lake St. Francis. Our second project is the species at risk. We use qPCR analysis of about 20 species of fish, amphibian, reptile, and mollusk. And we use eDNA for validation of old mention and add new one to our database. This database is pretty important for us because it's used for wildlife advisory and forest management. For example, if we can show there's a Salvelinus alpinus ocasa in lake, the logging company have to change their activity in the forest. For example, they have to leave more tree around the lake, and the presence of this species prevents stocking from brook trout in those same lakes to help the species. The last project that we do in-house is the fish biodiversity with eDNA metabarcoding. We do it in lake. We start lake in 2017. Each year we do between 6 and 20 lake, depending on the budget and the technical time on the field. For river, we start the project in 2021. Our plan is to do 1 or 2 rivers per year and to do the sampling in the complete watershed, to do a lot of sample in the focus to find invasive species or species at risk. For the project in river, we also do beach scene and electrofishing at some station to compare our result. With everything we do with eDNA, with no surprise, the biggest challenge is the interpretation of the data, and I'm happy to see that I'm not the only one in that situation. Working with invasive species or species at risk, we expect and we obtain a lot of zero or no detection. And because I'm the only one working with eDNA, everybody asks me why we obtain no detection or zero, and even after 5 or 6 years, I have to explain the limit of the technique. And again, because we have a budget constraint and limited time in the field, I have a limit of sample I can do in a year for all the projects. So sometimes I have to say, and we have to create like optimal sampling strategy for different species. I'm an aquatic biologist, especially on fish, but I have to work with a semi-aquatic reptile like a wood turtle. And in that kind of species, we have to be very specific in the sampling because they only are in water for reproduction. So I have to tell the technical crew that if you go in the field sampling eDNA for this species, you have to be very careful for the timing, because if you go there when it's not in the water, you're losing your time and you're losing my time in the lab. My other challenge is how to deal and how to explain like eDNA detection with no specimen with traditional method. Even in the ministry and the citizen, I mean the eDNA, some people are still concerned about the eDNA method. So I have to do a lot of communication. My best example is that 3 years ago we have a positive detection in the lake for zebra mussel. So the committee of the lake sent diver in the lake to find the zebra mussel, but they can't find any. So they tell me that my result was not good. It was probably contamination or error in the lab. 2 years later, they find a big colony of zebra mussel in the lake. I was not happy that they find the zebra mussel, but I was happy that I was not wrong about my positive detection. The other challenge is how to use eDNA data in environmental assessment. I'm very happy that we talk a lot about it like the last few days. Right now, Quebec government is hesitant to accept eDNA result because of the lack of acceptable standardization and transparency in some report that we receive. The standardized protocol are needed. The CSA standard is pretty good, but clearly we need more standard for sampling strategies needed. So to meet our challenge, we are collaborate with a lot of university and professors to help us with those challenges. The first project I want to talk about is eDNA meta-recording in lake. I won't talk much about this one because Eric Garcia, the postdoc in Louis Bernatchez, make a poster about this one. But I will say that the objective of this project was to create a standardized protocol to evaluate fish community in Boreal Lake. We do that project with the CRSNG funding with Louis at Laval University. This project is with eDNA barcoding again. If we have to see if we can use eDNA result for community biomonitoring. The result we obtain is that we observe a significant change in fish community along the system river, and those change, with no surprise, is linked to anthropogenic disturbance. This one, honestly, I don't know much about this project. For me, the meta-community theory is, I don't know. I mean, this guy, Guillaume Côté, is a professor at University of Sherbrooke. He's asking us if we have a data set to test his theory of meta-community with eDNA data. I put this slide because we are willing as a government to share our data or even the sample. So if you want to try new analysis, or you can ask me, and we are willing to share those kind of information. This one, we do this project with Louis Bernatchez. We do a lot of projects with Louis Bernatchez lab at University of Laval. 3 years ago, we put brown trout in cage in the St. Lawrence River. Brown trout is not supposed to be in St. Lawrence River. So we put brown trout in cage, and we take eDNA sample downstream of the cage. We do eDNA sampling up to 5 kilometers from the cage. Now I think that we should go further than 5 kilometers because we still find DNA at 5 kilometers. And when we compare this, the nice thing about this project is that we have a 2D hydrodynamic model for this part of the St. Lawrence River. And what we obtained on the field fit pretty good with what the model can predict for a particle like eDNA. This one, Chloé Berger made a presentation 2 days ago about this project. It's part of eDNA, and the objective of that project was to see which factor can affect eDNA and eRNA molecule in the lab. This one is with the turtle, the speckled turtle. It's done with a CRSMG Alliance at University of Québec at Outaouais. Is to see if we can, is to compare abundance of speckled turtle from CMR with eDNA sample. They do that at 12 sites. Right now the result is pretty good. We have a relationship between those two data, but they only have six site analyzed right now. And the last objective of that project is to validate a field-ready eDNA detection method. This one we'll do this summer. Again, it's part of iTrack DNA. We do it with Louis and Felix Plante. We'll use a common mud puppy in cage to explore eDNA and eRNA transport in small stream. We also use the same stream and same sample to compare eDNA and eRNA quantity of two salamander, the spring and the mountain dusky salamander, to see if we can see a relationship between the count with traditional survey and eDNA and eRNA in those same spring. The last project is for vegetation. It's my colleague Martin Laporte who's doing it with Louis Bernatchez and Rose as a postdoc. Is to try if we can monitor the aquatic vegetation with DNA metabarcoding. Rose will try if the available primer, if it works in Quebec water, and we hope the detection of rare and invasive species, and we will compare the eDNA work with camera and rake. So the next step for us is to pursue the development of eDNA for wildlife management application. We'll continue our work with collaborators, and for sure with the other organization we'll work to standardize protocol because we need that a lot. And to continue the communication to explain the limit of eDNA, I think is very important, even in my organization and with the end user. We also tried new application with eDNA to detect virus and parasite implicated in wildlife disease. For example, we tried with Angiocoides crassus for American eel. We also tried to use eDNA to monitor multi-species spawning ground and identify new one for lake sturgeon and American shad. So I want to thank everybody at my ministry and all my collaborators, especially Louis Bernatchez, that we worked a lot for the last few years. Thank you very much.